South African soccer coach Pitso Mosimane last night guided Ahly to a dramatic penalty shootout win over Raja Casablanca in the CAF Super Cup. The reigning African champions claimed a record-extending 8th CAF Super Cup trophy. For more on this momentous feat, we're joined now by former Ahly assistant coach Cavin Johnson. A very good evening to you, Cavin, and thank you so much for speaking to us. So, as a former coach, no doubt some warm feelings for you, for your former home, but a great feat for Pitso Mosimane. I don't think a lot of South Africans would have even thought that this is the moment we'd be talking about.
Good evening, thank you for having me on your show. The moment has always been there. I think Pitso is a good coach. He's got a very, very good team and a good technical team with him. And to play against Raja Casablanca, yeah, I watched the game last night, and for sure, he was never going to lose the game. When I watched the game, Raja was leading for a lot of the game, but having worked at Ahly and having worked with the technical people at Ahly and the Pitso Mosimane in particular, you know they always have a goal within them. And whether it comes in the first second of the game or the last 30 seconds of the game like last night, they will have a goal.
It all came down to a penalty shootout, and that really turned the crowds, didn't it? But I want to talk about, as you mentioned, Pitso Mosimane has a great team with him. He's certainly always had promise. But just looking at the technical aspect of how he envisaged yesterday's game, Ahly was full of praise for him.
Yeah, we're looking, being there, and I know this year it looks a little bit different because he has got a stronger team, a little bit stronger team than last year. And when I watched the game yesterday, I saw Pitso playing 3-4-3, which is not normal. He likes to 4-4-2, but he played 3-4 yesterday. But it's probably because of the amount of people that he has in a attack, and that makes him all the more acceptable to go forward. And he always says this in his interviews that, if you score 3 goals, I score 4 goals. So he must be credited for that. And well done to Ahly and Pitso Mosimane, and for me, especially the president, which is Captain Dibo. I think they did a good job. And he emulated Jose Manuel that has a record at Ahly. And what a good thing to know that a South African has come now and done what no African coach has done on the planet.
And I also want to just reflect on a player like Percy Tau. I mean, not so long ago, he was warming the benches there at Brighton in Europe, and now he's looking at being in the starting 11 of a team that will now play the FIFA World Cup in February next year.
Yeah, well, Percy, in no uncertain terms, I haven't worked with Percy Tau, but watching him from outside, he's always been a fantastic player to watch, to play. Why he hasn't played in England, I wouldn't know, but for sure, joining Pitso and having played for Pitso at Sundowns, he's doing a fantastic job. And last night was all credit to him for not pulling it and for showing the people that he has the nerve to make sure that in the last 30 seconds of the game, he still had the nerve to hold and to make the right decision and to give the ball to someone to score the goal. And that shows a lot of character as far as he's concerned, and a lot of character for the team forward, I think.
Talk to us about what it takes to manage such a big club like Ahly and the kind of things that you have to navigate. As you say, it takes a bit of selflessness from the players. I mean, they're all stars in their own right, and sometimes they think that they should be taking the opportunity when it really should be team spirit that wins the game.
Look, from my experience, having worked with such a big team and a team that's more than 100 old, and I've said this in many of my other interviews, it's about the culture. It's about the culture that they've built over 107 years in Egypt. It's about the culture of the people that work with the team year in, year out. And, they change coaches. And when they do change, because they only go better and better. And when you're a coach and it doesn't take you long in the culture that has come with 107 years of having a team like Ahly, and the generations that come afterwards that always want to be better than the generation before. For example, the generation that is led now by Shenawi, which is the best goalkeeper in Africa, against the generation that was led by Abu Traka, and that's 15, 16 years ago with Jose Manuel, and they're just writing their own history, and that's what Ahly has going for them all the time.
As we mentioned, eighth time in the row picking up the CAF Super Cup. As a team, what are the special attributes or the brand of soccer that Al Ahly play that other teams, like for instance in South Africa, could learn from?
Look, at the moment, when I look at Sundowns, they're a team that likes to hold possession, but we need to get the killer instinct in us in South Africa, because we probably more possession based than Ahly. But Ahly likes to hold possession, but they have one objective, and that is to hold possession, to go forward and score goals. And this is the culture that we need to cultivate into us. And when I watch Sundowns recently, they have that ability. They have Peter Shaulile, they have many players that can score goals within them. So Sundowns is the one that's really, really showing the rest of Africa that we are capable of doing it. And you got to Manoba Giti, Steve Compella and Fulani for getting the team to another level that Pitso had them beforehand. And that's building a culture. And for me, I think Sundowns at the moment, as far as South African football is concerned, they are up there with the rest of the African teams.
As you mentioned, when it comes to ball possession, there seems to be a particular style that we display. Do we make use enough of the strikers that we have and the type of players that we're buying, irrespective of whether it's locally or internationally? Are they also aptly used?
Now you're asking me a question on South African football.
No,
I think we are in general, yes, we are. I think we are getting there slowly, but again, I find that, besides top three, which is Sundowns, Chiefs, Pirates, SuperSport, a little bit of Cape Town City, the rest of the teams, we chop and change a little bit too often. But the five players, the top five teams in South Africa at the moment are very consistent. All we need is to be a little bit more in front of goals, score the goals. And like you saw last night, what Percy Tau done is in the last minute of the game, 30 seconds of the game, he still has the mentality to hold and to use his technical ability to keep the ball and to give it to someone else who's in a better position to score the goals.
All right.
We, I think, lack a little bit in that area.
All right, now just on a different note, you mentioned the culture at Al Ahly earlier on. I want to know about the culture in general, you assimilating when you were there. Did you experience any difficulties learning a new culture, being in a new neighborhood, speaking a different language? Were any of these challenges for you?
Look, because being a South African and coming from such a diverse country, going into a country where you have one culture, it was not easy at first, but once you get the hang of it and you understand what the Egyptian culture is all about and the fact that they have 70 million people following them, and the fact that they've had supporters for 10 years, the culture changes, but there's also there's a bigger culture outside of the team. And that is the fact that the man that runs the team at the moment is the president, which is Captain Bibo. He was part of a generation that made a culture, and he knows exactly what of Ahly is. And when working with these people, you get that feeling of where it's coming from. In my experience in South Africa, the best team who has culture, who can breed that culture at the moment, is AmaZulu.
Thank you so much for speaking to us. I really appreciate your insights on this. And Cavin Johnson, former Al Ahly assistant coach, speaking to us about that major feat by Al Ahly. So as we mentioned, 8th time lifting the Super Cup. But it's not only that, they've reached their 25th international trophy.